Cheers, rock and roll, aka powders. We have a couple points to make before we get into our subject. Blood strike number one, rub the blood. See, or like you have to yell that. Rub the blood. Say it with me. Put rub the blood in the comments. Blood Brothers Prelude. Fraga Boy over here. Rob Liefeld inking. The back cover, though, is interesting, right? You guys ready? You guys remember Dooms 4? It was Rob Liefeld's extreme version of the Fantastic Four. And you know who was attached to, like, the movie project? Steven Spielberg. It was, like, the biggest thing. The wild thing is, no one cared about the Dooms 4 comic. They ordered it, but no one really cared. No one... How many of you out there can tell me any member of Dooms 4? But we get something special here. We get something very special with Bloodstrike number one. And it's not Fraga's ability to draw some of the best pouches, some of the best buckles in the game. Dane Fraga, a.k.a. Rob Liefeld's former stalker, if you guys are familiar with how he got picked up by Liefeld. Bloodstrike is something very different. Because when we look at Rob Liefeld's Young Blood, it's very superhero, right? Like this looks like George, right? It's like George Perez, Teen Titans. And we were promised like a media-driven, public face superhero team with Youngblood. So we wanted a little bit of like the dirtiness, right? Like the current affair stuff. We wanted like broken and corrupt heroes caught in like a superhero world. You don't quite get that. And honestly, if you go through all the iterations of Youngblood, we don't quite get there. We never quite get there with what a lot of people believe the promise of Youngblood was. But then this came along. Right here. Bloodstrike. Coming soon. And this is now, right? This is of note. Because this is what we want for the time. See, Jim Lee, to counter this, Jim Lee did Deathblow. And it pops at Wildstorm. It was a short story. It goes monthly. It's crazy. You wanted to call these comics, because you were a kid buying them, you wanted to call them something different than what your father, than your grandfather may have had. And paramilitary violence was it. Superpowers and guns, but not quite a superhero universe. Not what we were used to. Rob Liefeld even with Brigade, and I think Brigade is such a stumble. Because, you know, Brigade goes up against a dark side proxy here. And just flipping through this, right, guys? Like, let me know. This just looks and feels like a straight up superhero comic book for the day. Now, we get some interesting designs. Like, Rob Liefeld does things with, like, wristbands and shoulder pads, right? But it's different when Rob Liefeld draws these guys. Like, for the cover for issue 1, Battlestone looks a lot different, a lot cooler than how Murat Michaels draws him. And we have to point that out. I'm not knocking Murat Michaels, right? Like, but by this time, he had a couple years underneath Rob Liefeld, like working with Rob Liefeld. But see, we would get this promise. Blood Brothers, right? The hero. And this guy, who's Cabot? Cabot. He looks like Cable. Sounds like Cable. He's like Cable with some like Ultimate Warrior makeup. But he's also dead. He's a zombie. Like the pitch for Bloodstrike was incredible. And a lot of it wasn't Fraga's artwork. So this is Dane Fraga's Black Flag. This is roughly a year later. Right here. He creates a project that just allows him to draw. I mean, he's literally drawing Rob Liefeld here. He's drawing Rob Liefeld as Spider-Man right here. You know, we got the spaghetti webbing and all. But we immediately see this growth in Fraga. It's like texture, layout. Like he's great. I always liked his mouths. That's what she said. But right, like he always like look at those molars in there. And Fraga would continue to grow for his entire career, and he becomes, you know, like he becomes significant on social media. But people kind of take a lot of Fraga's social media and they apply it to this. And I don't think that's quite fair, because I don't want to undersell just the idea of Bloodstrike and what Bloodstrike really is. So how do we define Bloodstrike? Well, I just got some random issues here. But we kind of open up Bloodstrike with this Blood Brothers story. So it's like brother versus brother. And here, like Cabot, like you'll see he like shoots a hole right through Seahawk, and they did a good job within the pages of Brigade. They set Seahawk as invincible, like he can heal, and you wanted the Wolverine proxies to have the healing power, not Seahawk, which is a little bit of a lackluster design, period. But yeah, like he later, like I think I skipped it. He impales Cabot, like literally takes off his helmet, right, and just impales him. But a lot of the attitude of Bloodstrike, the collection of the characters, I think is very important, because it didn't feel like a superhero universe, and they're running around just like murdering people. Cold Snap here, right? Like he gets nuked, and he loses control of his power, and he becomes like an Ice Hulk. So just with Bloodstrike's influence within another book, so like it's like Bloodstrike invades Brigade, and as soon as they show up, things change, and they become violent, and they become a little bit scary. So even here, like Bloodstrike 5, you know, look, this is the Keith Giffen one. And, oh my, like, I think people undersell this so much. But here, like, you know, like Cabot just like, you know, like punches out someone's spine, right? That this is, Wildman, right? I forget his, oh my God, I forget his name for a little bit. But Supreme shows up, right? And they're doing a really good job at Extreme and setting things up, because we go here. We go to Youngblood 3, which I consider to be the most significant issue of this time, because we set up Bloodstrike, but then we flip it over and we get Supreme. And Supreme, you have to remember, Supreme premiered as a Volume 2. It was Volume 2, Issue 1. Because he goes into space and he comes back. If you watch Superman Returns, that's his return in that movie is Supreme. But Supreme Volume 1 was supposed to be his, like, almost like his golden years. And Alan Moore picks up on that. We'll do that someday. So, but they do a great job. And you put Supreme, who's like this angry Superman, up against Bloodstrike, and you want bloodshed. Because the thing is, though, it's not my father's comic. Say here, like he gets Cabot, and he gouges out his eyes and punches out his intestines, his spleen, his liver, and then he does this, like, look, just breaks him over his knee. Where have we seen that before? And we just see it's like all intestines. But a part of Bloodstrike is Project Born Again. So they're reborn, and then we have these guys here, which kind of go, you know, they go into Prophet for a little bit. But collectively, like, Extreme Studios is doing one incredible job here. The Extreme Studios universe collectively was crossing over better than any other book at the time. But yeah, like, we kind of take a lot for granted. So when we look at issue 1 here, this is everything you wanted as a 90s kid. And Fraga here, like, we see his mastery of shadow. Like, this is, look how nice of an illustration this is. He's drawing the Rob Liefeld pouches, the buckles, like the hair on the arm, right? Like, really cool stuff. And the team gets set off on the mission. They're infiltrating a base. And the beginning of this book becomes Rob Liefeld's template moving forward. He, even to this day, Rob Liefeld cannot open a book if he doesn't have people breaking into something. But it's a great way to open up a book. So we see cool stuff here too. Like, see, they got the rappel lines and they're running down the wall. This is from Universal Soldier. Again, go watch that movie though. Roland Emmerich, great stuff. And again, we get a little bit of the flavor. So, like, we have to compare this properly. See, if we look into X-Force number 1, right, running towards something, running into a array of cannon fodder. So here, X-Force number 1, right, they run into the action. And look, it just picks up, right? But then look, we slow down, get some explanation. Another setup. But, like, Rob Liefeld's whittling down how do we open up an issue. Look at how he opens up New Mutants 100. Look, Warpath, Domino, Cable, running. They run into Shatterstar. He appears out of nowhere. He's in the danger room. He's killing robots. But then, look, we fight, we slow down. And this is Liefeld working with writers. So the slowdown, there's a lot more of a payoff when it slows down. He eventually is never going to slow down the first issue. But we get our exposition here, right? They're here to kill this guy, and he has, he's got some soldiers. A lot of people protecting him. But at this time, again, like, look at Fraga's artwork compared to Murat Michaels. We have to look at Murat Michaels. Where did my Murat Michaels book go? Where is it? Right here, right? We have to look at Murat Michaels. Okay? I mean, there's, and it's not just printing or coloring. There is a clear difference in ability here. But Fraga sells everything here. I mean, like, again, some of the coolest buckles, the close-up here, the upshot, like the blood on the floor. Again, counterculture. We want Shogun here. He, just like Dr. Manhattan, he busts through the glass, transforms, right? He's a mech. And he's ready to kill everything in the room. And we see, like, Fraga here too. We see a lot of Jack Kirby influence here, right? Because Kirby's the rising influence, believe it or not. Shogun here just takes everyone out. And when you're in the teenage mind, you hear this. You hear it. And you almost, like, want to keep this book away from your parents. So our boy teleports. I always like the way how, look, Cabot and Tag, I just like how Shogun transports them. I don't know why. I just always thought that was the coolest thing. And here, I forget, what is this guy's name? I forget his name. But we give him and Forearm here, right? Is it Forearm? Oh my God, I'm forgetting some of the names. But they, again, like, cool moment. They're just like kicking ass. Like, this is the stuff. And look, like, we're building up our, and we give a lot, we got to give some credit to Brian Murray here, our colorist, because he's like, we're playing with highlights and we're doing sophisticated double lighting here with our coloring. So Shogun shows up with Cabot and Tag, right? And then, like, our villain who teleported, right? He teleported a couple pages ago. Well, he shows back up, nukes Cabot, right? Cabot gets it. It pops right up. And then here we go, Shogun. Showing up for business. And this guy thinks, he still thinks he's got the upper hand. He thinks he's going to fly away. Could the storytelling here be a little bit tighter? Yes. But he gets shot out. And then tags him. So he freezes. That's what tags his power. Tag has such a cool power. But he's got this lightsaber rod. Nice Kirby crackle here, Mr. Fraga. And then here we go. Just frozen. They hypothesize a couple things. They have their cool hero moment. But then, here, they just wipe him out. Blood, guts, and all. He's standing in the pool of blood. They teleport out. And then Cabot here is just like recording the mission. And next issue is Blood Brothers. Continuing in Brigade 1, where Brigade 1 opens. Brigade 1, Volume 2 monthly. So it's Volume 2, Issue 1. But, yeah, I think it's not her. It's right here. Oh, what's her name? She gets her head blown off in, like, the second page. And that's Bloodstrike. I think Bloodstrike was more of the time than Youngblood and Brigade and Supreme. Like, all these other books that Extreme Studios had coming out, Bloodstrike was clearly the one, always in my eye, that spoke to the generation. A true counterculture comic. Way more than even X-Force was. Way more than even what Rob Liefeld did with New Mutants. Bloodstrike really was the book. And yes, Fraga's artwork factors in. But, maybe we'll do more of an analysis on Fraga at this time. But I wanted today's episode to be about Bloodstrike. Love you guys. Rock and roll.